Welcome to the show, Amy. Thank you for being here. I can't wait to show pictures of your handiwork throughout the segments to see just how yummy it is. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Lisa, for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, so I want to start with your career path change, but also just to say that you have one of the most lovely cookbooks I've seen. And we'll talk about that because you self-published, and that's not an easy thing to do and do it as well as you did it. The goal, right, is to have a book look like it, could have been published by the big publishers. And I think that that's the goal. It's not always accomplished, but you certainly did. So we'll be sharing bits of that throughout the show too.
Well, thanks so much.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So lawyer turned cookbook food guru. That's not a straight and narrow path. So let's talk about your transition from what you did as a full-time career to what you're doing now.
Sure. So I went to law school with my husband, actually. So we were both lawyers and we came out to the Bay Area in California, and I was a litigator with a big law firm doing white collar criminal defense, which I really enjoyed my law practice. It was really rewarding, really great. But when my kids came along, with both of us working at big law firms, it just wasn't the lifestyle that we had wanted and planned. So I decided to stay home. But a couple kids later, I felt like I've always been a hard worker. I had lots of energy and I felt like my kids napped a lot. And so
That's lucky.
I, I at the time was doing a lot of photography, and I always have enjoyed cooking and baking. And a friend encouraged me. She was like, there are these things called food blogs. You can make some money doing it. And it's
What year was this?
This was 2016.
Okay, so yeah, a little bit ago.
Yeah. And so she encouraged me to do it. And I was like, that sounds like fun. I've got some time before my kids are in school full time. Let's see what I can do. And so that's when I started my blog, knowing from the very beginning that it could be a money-making opportunity for me and that there was a potential to have
You
it turn
treated
into
it as a business.
absolutely.
So how I remember, I don't remember what year the movie Julie and Julia came out. Are you
Oh
familiar with
gosh.
that movie?
I do know that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the one with I can't remember the actress, but it's based on Julia Child and the cookbook, and there were those parallel stories happening at the same time. And I'd imagine a lot of people during that time started thinking, I'm going to start a food blog, but you treat it like a business from the start. And when you say that, what do you think, what made it that way as opposed to a hobby for you? What do you think you were doing that some people might not quite get right from the start?
So one thing that really helped me is at the time, there were a few bloggers who were doing income reports where they were really open and transparent about sharing, like, this is how much it costs to run a blog, to pay for hosting and our theme and all of the things. And this is how much I made through an ad network or through sponsored posts or other opportunities that we have as bloggers to have income. And so that was super helpful to me, was having somebody else who had already gone through this and was sharing really openly what could be done and how to do it. So I followed a lot of that. And then I just decided, I was going to, there was so much to learn. There's so much that goes into
Did you
blog.
follow it or did you find the gaps and improve it? How much of it did you adopt and how much of it did you think, well, I don't want to do that because that isn't such a big moneymaker? Did you change any of it all or did you go straight along with it?
Yeah, no, I didn't go straight along with it. What I found at that time is a lot of bloggers were doing a lot of sponsored work with brands. And I have done some of that. I didn't love it. Part of the reason I didn't love that for me is I didn't want to have somebody telling me what to do, giving me deadlines, and critiquing and micromanaging my creative process. I wanted to make the foods that I enjoyed and make them the way I wanted. And a couple of times I'd be working with brands and I'd do an entire photo shoot, give all the deliverables to the client, and they'd come back to me and say, let's reshoot. We want it like
Yeah.
this,
Yeah, I can
darker
see that.
backgrounds.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So I focused on other things like SEO opportunities, Pinterest, other tools like that in order to get my content in front of people to drive traffic to my site and focus more on ad revenue. So there were multiple paths. There still are multiple paths. That was back before social media was a big thing. And now lots of people do really well focusing on social media and have that
Well,
be
and
their
you
big
have almost
driver.
50,000 followers, so you do really well at it too.
Oh gosh, it feels small, but thank you.
Yeah, no, I think it's good. The thing about it too, it's having content is so, I'm a story and pitch coach, and there's not a whole lot of visuals to that sometimes. And sitting there drinking a cup of tea and having that one be that gets, 400,000 views is just like, why? I'm just, you know what I mean? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But having food to show and the process to show and the outcome of that effort is just really gold. You know, I follow this woman who just does cookies all day long. And who, even if you don't try the recipes, who doesn't want to look at yummy cookies every day, throughout the day, any time of day. So it is a specialty. It is a really great niche for anyone who's really good at it, though, because you're obviously very good at it. So you decided to go this route, and how long did it take you to start making money?
Gosh, the first month I think I made $4.
Okay.
But I saw that and I said, if
Yeah,
I
you're
can do
like,
this, I can
yeah.
double that. Like,
Mhm.
and so, it was probably a year before I was making like some decent, like pocket money, like fun money.
Yeah.
And then gosh, I think I had a month where I made like $1,000 that month. And I was like, this is amazing. Let's go to Disneyland or something.
Well, the other part of it is that you're doing something you love. So the time it takes for it to work is, at least you're doing something you're enjoying.
Yeah, absolutely. And I still say that I would do it even if I wasn't making money doing it because that's how much I enjoy and am passionate about what I do. And that feels like really the most rewarding thing
Yeah.
about
And
this.
it's the thing where they say, figure out, do what you love, figure out how to get paid for it and still love it. Yeah.
Yep.
That sort of thing. Well, let's take a break. When we come back, I want to get into just more about the blog, but also the schedule and how you go about the things that you do. So we'll be back in
Great.
just a moment. Amy, I want to first mention the name of your cookbook. It's House of Nash Eats Everyday. So it's comfort food and just yummy, yummy recipes. And during the break just now, we were talking about the cookie account that I followed, and you said, "Oh, is it this one?" And what did you say? Cooking with Carly?
Yeah, my friend Carly.
Yeah, and you said she's one of your best friends, and I said, "Did you meet her?" And she has thousands, like 700 something thousand followers. And I said, "Did you meet her? Did you know her before?" And you said, "No, you met her through blogging." So tell us
Yeah,
about that because people come online to find community, and look at that, you found a bestie.
I did. I did. I actually have so many friends who I made through the blogging community. We have conferences and retreats, and so we've met in real life now, but we work together and we like I'll have calls or Marco Polos or just text threads with friends being like, this is a strategy I'm trying. What have you done? What's working? What's not working? And we build each other and like help each other out.
Yeah.
And it's been so like amazing to like create these friendships with other bloggers because it can be a lonely endeavor. You're in your kitchen cooking all by yourself all the time, posting these things, wondering who's even seeing it. And it's nice to have like other people who I can reach out to and talk to.
Yeah, the cool thing too, I feel like, is that there's room for all of you to grow and have success. And sometimes women and men are competitive in a way that they gatekeep and they might not share their secrets or what's working or what isn't working. And the fact that you are all doing that and meaning it, it just shows that there's room for everyone. Most
Yeah, what's the
definitely.
quote? Rising tides lift all boats. That's
Yeah.
how it feels.
Exactly. Okay, so let's talk about the blogging again. So you started out with the blogging, and how long do you think it took? This was in 2016. How long do you think it took? Just a very realistic picture for anyone thinking, okay, I got to start that blog, whatever kind of blog it is, because people still do blogs and they still make money at it. How long do you think it took for you to say, okay, well, this is actually really truly working, where it's replacing something maybe you gave up to take this on?
Yeah, by 2018, 2 years into it, I knew it could be something that it wouldn't have replaced my full income as an attorney, but I could see the path. The path was visible and I knew how I would get there. And so then I could really go for it. And once 2020 hit, that was like a crazy year for food bloggers. Everybody started cooking. And because I had things in place already, my blog just took off.
You weren't scrambling to create what people needed. You already had it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it really hit new levels then. But I would say within 2 or 3 years, I was at a point where I would have, if I had still been working, I think I would have been comfortable leaving my job and just focusing on that. And that seems to be fairly typical for a lot of other bloggers I've talked to.
Yeah. One of the things too, I have a podcast now about story and pitch and all the things. And I do solo episodes. And one of the things I'm talking about today for an upcoming episode is like, at what point do you almost turn and say, I'm done, like, and then give up, and then this wouldn't have happened? It sounds like you didn't hit that point, but so many people do. Did you hit, ebbs and flows? Did you hit some points where you're like, I don't know. I mean, you loved it so much. Obviously, you could afford to take the risk. So was there ever a part when you thought, I don't know if this is for me after all?
Um, Not when it comes to blogging, but it definitely when it came to social media. And so when you brought up my social media, yeah, when you brought that up earlier, like to me, I still feel so small there. It has taken me so long to grow there. And for like a decent chunk of time when in my early days of blogging, I saw no traction. And so I kind of like put that on the back burner and said, I'm not going to focus on that. Like I'm not making money there.
The social media.
The social media. I'm not seeing success. So I kind of left that. I wish I hadn't, because people have grown so much and it's such a big opportunity. And I've really focused on it in the last year and seen a lot of great growth. But yeah, there are definitely times when I was like, that's not working for me. And so I moved and pivoted to focus on something else where I could have more of an impact.
Well, the cool thing is too with what you're doing is it's just a matter of repurposing that content. You're already shooting the pictures, you're already making the food, and so for your blog, and so then you have this opportunity to put, and then everything, and just making the cookbook and that process. So when you made that transition to social media and you started to see success there, then you had a whole other way to scale and monetize that piece of it. It's a whole other engine of business.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that I've done a lot with, because now I have over 1,400 recipes on my site. And that's a lot of content that I can go back and make videos and reels for, talk about. I've also, in the last year or two, really focused on my email list and marketing there and growing that. And that's one of my favorite places where I connect with more of my readers, because they'll email me back. And I love getting emails from readers. It's so fun to like get to know their stories and their lives and what they're using recipes for. So I love all of that. So it's having that many recipes now, there's less creating new recipes and more repurposing what I've done and making it better. A lot of the old stuff from 2016, 2017, like honestly, it needs some help. Like my photos, I thought they were so great back then.
Yeah.
I look at them now and it's like so cringe, but
yeah. It's good. I think that, well, they say this all the time, and I say this in this episode, was that, it's good to it is good to make those mistakes or just the learning curve when nobody's really looking, nobody's really watching. And so then, you can look back at those and say, oh, I've come a long way, right? It's one of those things that is a real clear path of improvement, because you can just scroll your feed to see the difference. And sometimes in career, you can't really see that so visually right in front of you in squares as they appear in that form.
Yeah, that's really true.
Yeah. Let's take a break. When we come back, I want to dive into your cookbook and that process, and then also your choice to self-publish. It's so doable these days. So doable. There's really no reason, if you have the desire to create, author any type of book, that you can't do it today and have it be hugely successful. So we'll be right back with Amy Nash. Hi, Amy. We are back, just finishing up with you. Your cookbook is called House of Nash Eats Everyday, Comfort Food. I got that right?
Yep, you got it.
And one of the things I want to talk to you about is you made the decision at some point to say, okay, now I'm going to create a cookbook. So let's go through that process. So at what point do you think, okay, I've got enough recipes? Are you just taking what you've already created, or are you making new recipes for the cookbook? At what point? And you might have thought about it from the beginning, but when was that transition to actually starting to do it and create content for the book specifically?
Great question. I thought about it for years and I always said I would never do it because the friends that I knew who had done cookbooks, it's so much work.
Yeah.
It's so much work. Um, and traditional cookbook publishing, which is all I knew, you typically have to have 70% of the recipes as new, unique recipes not published on your site. Um,
Okay.
and that's so much work to do that for a cookbook.
Well, and also
And
you like the you didn't like being, sorry to interrupt you. You didn't like managing the creative, being managed about the creative process. So it would make sense that you wouldn't want to spend a year of your life creating a cookbook that somebody else was telling you how to do it.
absolutely, for sure. And if you do one with a traditional publisher, often they hire photographers who do the photography for you. And that's one of my favorite parts of
Mhm.
the whole job. So it took me a long time. I had readers emailing me for years, messaging me saying, "When are you doing a cookbook? Can you please do a cookbook?" So finally, like self-publishing came along. And my friend Carly, who I mentioned earlier, she published a cookbook and she was just such an inspiration and she self-published and guided me through so much of this along with a couple of other really good friends, and I saw how it was done and how it could be when you self-publish. You can use, I mean, every recipe in the book could be on your blog,
Yeah.
and there are so many great reasons for that. When I was doing my cookbook, I knew I wanted it to be an everyday cookbook with the recipes that we use every single day at our house.
Mhm.
And we do. And those recipes, of course, are going to be the ones I wanted to share with the world on my site.
Yeah.
And so I have shared those, and millions of people have already made these recipes. There's already tons of feedback where they have, instead of having an editor go read a recipe, I've had real people
Yeah.
testing
Use
these
them.
recipes
Yeah.
for years. So I
Yeah.
know they're tried and true.
Well, the other part of that too is that it's just one other form for them to get them. Some people like to look up recipes on their phone. Some people like to still have the cookbook. Some people do both. Maybe they just want to see your cookbook in their kitchen. Whether they open it or use their phone doesn't really matter. So I just think it's another way to reach people. It's like whether you do video or you write something, you take a picture or you tell a story in a different way. It's just storytelling through food and through these images that you've created. So give it to them however they want to get it. And you had all this social proof that everybody wanted it. So why wouldn't you deliver it? Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. And I
And
find that,
exactly how you want to deliver it.
yeah. And I think a lot of people are feeling tired with being on their phones as much and
Sure.
with something as um like tangible as cooking where it's a hands-on thing. You kind of want to, like, a lot of people enjoy opening up a cookbook
Yes.
and following a recipe that way. You don't have to have ads. You don't have to have all the other noise that we have so much of already in life.
Yeah. Hmm.
I just feel that it makes the process really
Yeah.
enjoyable.
Yeah. I just got a cookbook this last year called Cherry Bomb, and it's like pink and red and beautiful, and all the recipes are delish inside. Some of them are a little, what I found about recipes, and I used to be somebody who didn't really like cooking very much because I'd see a recipe with more than 5 ingredients and I was just way overwhelmed. And then what I started finding with the recipes that I like, the foods I like, it's kind of the same 6 or 7, 8 ingredients. The list of the things that look like a lot. They're things that we have in our pantry and have in our spice cabinet and all of that. It's not really going out and buying new things. And then what I also like to do is just with AI, it's easy to say, this is what I have. How do I repurpose the ingredients I just bought for this other recipe? Or I'll make a sauce or a marinade that I'll use for one thing and then I'll use it for something else too. So kind of just having a system in place that makes it easier to cook. And I think that that's part of what your book does because you're picking everyday recipes that make sense for families and it's comfort food. So yum. And what do you define as comfort food?
So comfort food, I mean, I grew up all over the United States. I moved a lot. So I've lived on both coasts in the Midwest, all over. And so comfort foods are the foods that like my family would make, like casseroles, burgers, pizzas, tacos, things like that. And I feel like I make it modern, like I call it modern comfort food because where my mom would use canned soups, like condensed soups, I just make it from scratch. It's just chicken broth and flour, like for most things, in order to make those condensed soups. And so you don't have
So much
all of that.
cleaner. Hmm.
Exactly. It's much cleaner and it tastes better. Like it really does.
Hmm.
Or I'll do things like the cover of my book is my blueberry burger. And so it's comfort food, but it's modern because we're doing modern flavors with a blueberry balsamic like like
I haven't
barbecue
had
sauce.
lunch yet.
Oh, it's so good.
So
But so
good.
it's comfort food because it's a burger. Everybody knows and loves burgers, but it's modern because we're doing like modern flavors and twists with some arugula instead of iceberg lettuce and tomatoes. I love that too, but still,
Mhm. Yeah. And I think too, figuring out what you like I've figured out when I first planted a garden, for example, we're talking about food and what we want to add to our recipes. When I first started planting a garden, I planted what my parents planted. So it was a lot of zucchini. My mom made a lot of zucchini bread. It was squash. And big tomatoes. And I just started planting those things so that I thought, oh, that's what you plant in a garden. I didn't like any of those things. And I didn't make zucchini bread because then I would eat it. So I didn't make it. And it's like should be a treat, right? For at least in my house, because it's bread. And the what I found is I really like the small cherry tomatoes. I will eat those like they're, grapes. And so then I started growing those, things. And then I like cucumber and I love different lettuces. So I would make different lettuce. And so then you're starting to go to your garden to get the stuff as opposed to growing zucchini and giving it away. And so working that into the recipes. And then sometimes it doesn't even call for that. But if you add it in and you like it, it's good. And I'm not saying I don't eat bread. I'm saying if it was zucchini bread, it would be a big problem in my house. So, yeah, that was a big comfort food as a kid because we'd grow these huge zucchinis. What else are you going to do with them? You know, yeah. So it's good stuff. So, do you find that we're just wrapping up? We have just like a minute. Do you find that, I mean, you have no regrets about the self publishing, but the undertaking itself, you're glad you did it that way and you wouldn't do it any other way?
I'm so glad. It was so rewarding. It was a really fun project, and I'm super proud that every single photo in my book was taken by me.
Yeah.
And that's a real point of pride, and it's what I wanted in a cookbook. So it's been a great experience. Honestly, I think I'm gonna do it again.
Yeah. Well, it's legacy work too, because I mean, this recipe book can be used by your kids and their kids and their kids, and I mean, everyone in your family. And I think that that's something to have open up like that. I mean, I still have the Betty Crocker book that I got when I graduated high school, and it's out on my counter. It doesn't go anywhere. It's going to go from house to house to house. It always has. So to have that be part of people's countertops is nice too.
Yeah, I've had so many people giving it as gifts for weddings all summer. And lately, I've been having a lot of people give it to their college age children who are going off to college for the first time. And that just like makes my heart so happy. And that's why I do what I do.
I'm going to get a copy of yours for my son because he learned to cook during COVID because he came home expecting me to cook 3 meals. And I said, the kitchen's closed. I'll cook some. But he didn't like how his food tastes. So he started watching Gordon Ramsay videos. And he likes to make the kinds of things that I saw in your book. So I will get that for him straight away. So thank you so much for being here. It's just a delight. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me, Lisa.